This isn't my bed. That was the first thought that cracked through the fog in my mind. This bed was too soft. The sheets, smooth like water, too cold, too clean. I didn't own anything this luxurious. The ceiling above me was painted in golden flourishes, like something out of an old cathedral. The air smelled faintly of burning myrrh and roses. I sat up too quickly, and the room tilted sideways. Silk clung to my skin, a nightgown I didn't recognize. Pale gold, cut low at the neck, trimmed in delicate lace. Definitely not mine. My heartbeat was loud, fast. Where am I? I pushed off the covers and stumbled barefoot across the thick carpet to the nearest door. Locked. I tried another, same. Panic rose up sharp and metallic in my chest. Then I heard the doorknob turn. I backed away just as the door opened. And he walked in. Tall, calm, impossibly composed. He wore a charcoal black suit, no tie, shirt unbuttoned at the collar. His hair was black, tousled like ink spilled in slow motion. But his eyes, silver, too bright to be real, held mine with something colder than interest. Like he already knew how this would go. Leah Monroe, he said, voice deep and smooth. You're awake? I froze. Who are you? Where the hell am I? You're in my home, he said simply. And you're safe. For now? I scanned the room for something heavy. My eyes landed on a crystal vase by the window. I grabbed it and held it in front of me like a weapon. My hands were shaking. He didn't flinch. What do you want from me? He tilted his head, as if the question amused him. I already have what I want. Then let me go. You're not a prisoner, he said softly. You're a payment. The vase slipped from my hands. It didn't shatter. He caught it, without moving, without touching. It simply floated down, stopped midair, and rested gently on the nearby table. I stared at it. At him. You're insane. He walked toward me slowly, like he was afraid I might break. Your father made a deal, he said. His company was collapsing. Desperate men make desperate offers. You were the only thing he had left that anyone still valued. No, I whispered. He wouldn't. He would never, but he would. I saw it in the way the stranger didn't try to convince me. He didn't gloat, just waited for the realization to settle into my bones. I pressed my back against the wall. You're lying. You have to be. I don't need to lie, he said. Lying is for men. I am not a man. My throat went dry. What are you? A pause. Then, with unnerving calm, a collector. A traitor. A demon, if that's the word you need. I laughed, but it came out sharp and cracked. Right. Sure. A demon. Let me guess, I'm in hell? He smiled faintly. Not yet. My legs gave out, and I slid down the wall to the floor. I wanted to cry, to scream, but I didn't want to give him the satisfaction. My hands clenched into fists. What are you going to do to me? I asked, voice trembling. He crouched in front of me, eyes level with mine. Nothing you don't choose. That's not how this works, I spat. You bought me. I didn't buy you. His voice dropped to a whisper. I was given you. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to disappear. My father, he'd been desperate, sure. His business had been tanking for months. But to trade me? The man, demon, stood. I can show you the contract if you'd like. It's signed in his hand. I want to see it, I said, though my voice came out small. He nodded once. Later. When you've rested? I'm not tired, I said quickly. I want out, now. You may leave this room when you are ready, he said. No one will stop you, but know this. He paused, and when he looked at me something dangerous flickered in his silver eyes. The world outside is still the one that sold you. The only difference here is honesty. I shook my head. You're not real. None of this is real. He turned away, walked to the door. I should have let him go, but something inside me snapped, and before I knew it, I grabbed the same vase again, and hurled it toward him with all my strength. It should have hit him. It should have. But it froze midair again, just inches from his face. He turned his head casually, as if admiring it. Then the vase gently rotated in place, and floated back to the table. He looked over his shoulder at me. No anger, just something sad, or ancient, or maybe both. Your father gave you to me for a second chance at his business, he whispered. But I'm not here for a deal. I'm here for you. And then, he was gone. The door closed behind him with a sound softer than air. The silence in the mansion was the kind that made you listen harder, expecting footsteps that never came, breaths that weren't your own. I wasn't sure how long I sat there after he left. Minutes? An hour? Eventually I forced myself up from the floor, legs stiff and shaky, and crossed to the door. It wasn't locked. He'd told the truth about that, but something in me hesitated before touching the handle, like I might be touching a pulse. The hallway outside was cathedral-wide and deathly quiet, draped in velvet shadows. Everything looked old but too perfect, like a museum exhibit that refused to collect dust. The walls were lined with mirrors in ornate mismatched frames. I glanced into the closest one, and froze. My reflection didn't move with me. I turned my head. She didn't. I stepped back. So did she. Half a beat too late. What the hell? I moved on quickly, avoiding the mirrors from then on. Every one of them was wrong. Some held reflections that blinked twice. Others showed me wearing different clothes. In one, I was asleep. The mansion was a maze. Corridors twisted in ways that felt geometrically impossible. I passed rooms that appeared empty but gave off the scent of smoke or salt water or iron. The air grew colder with each step, like I was sinking deeper into something that didn't want to be understood. Then a voice behind me snapped the tension. You wander like a ghost, it said dryly. But you're not dead yet. I turned, and nearly walked into her. A woman stood in the hall wearing a dark fitted maid uniform that seemed plucked from some Victorian painting. She was tall, lean, and striking, with long waves of icy blue hair tied loosely over one shoulder. Her eyes were sharp, silver with flecks of black, like chipped glass. Who are you? I asked, too startled to sound strong. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Sira. I serve the master of this house. Which now includes entertaining you, apparently. I didn't ask to be here. No one does, she replied flatly. I swallowed. Where's the exit? Her smile widened. You're standing in it. What? This house was built on decisions people regret. There are many doors. All of them lead back to you. I didn't wait for more riddles. I turned away and walked fast, too fast, until I reached a set of glass-paned doors at the end of a corridor. Through them, I saw trees, moonlight, the garden. Fresh air was all I could think about. I shoved the doors open and stepped out barefoot onto cold stone. The night outside was heavy and silver blue. The garden was huge, rows of dark roses, white lilies that almost glowed, and hedges cut into impossible shapes. A single path of white gravel curved through it like a ribbon. The scent of the air was sweet but wrong, almost like it was performing a scent. Still, I ran. The path led toward a tall iron gate at the far end, shadowed under twisted branches. I reached it and pushed. It didn't budge. I rattled it, threw my weight against it, searched for a latch. Nothing. Just vines curling tightly over the bars like veins. The moment I turned around, the path was gone. The garden had shifted. What the hell is this place? I whispered. Alive. A voice answered behind me. I gasped and spun. Vael stood there, not 2 feet away, hands in his pockets, like he'd been waiting. You followed me, I said, breathless. I didn't have to, he said quietly. The house told me. I stared at him. That's insane. He walked past me, touched the gate gently with his fingers. The vines withdrew like breath. The gate clicked open. Beyond it, nothing but fog. I told you, he said. You're not a prisoner. You can walk through this gate, right now, but you won't like what waits there. Try me. He didn't move. It shows you the thing you fear most. And then it leaves you with it. I didn't answer. He looked at me, those strange silver eyes unreadable. This house doesn't trap people with locks, it keeps what's unfinished, broken, hiding. If you want to leave, fix what you are first. Is that what happened to you? I shot back. Did it keep you too? His expression flickered. No, he said. I built it. Silence. Wind moved through the trees but made no sound. This house keeps what's mine, he said gently. You're not ready to understand that yet. I shook my head. You talk like I'm some object. No. I talk like someone who sees more than the surface. Then, look deeper, I said bitterly. Because all you're going to find is someone who wants to go home. His voice was quieter then. Your home sold you, Leah. This place at least tells the truth. I wanted to scream. Instead, I walked past him, back toward the mansion. The path realigned beneath my feet. When I looked behind me, he was gone again. But I knew. He hadn't left. He was watching. Just like the house. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay awake on the velvet-draped bed, staring at the ceiling, tracing the gold lines with my eyes like a maze that never led anywhere. The silence in the mansion wasn't peaceful, it pressed in on me, thick and watchful. My body refused rest, but my mind wouldn't shut up. I kept seeing my father's face. Not the way he looked last year, grayer and thinner, always clutching a phone like it might physically save him, but the version from my childhood. The one who used to lift me into the air and call me his lucky charm. What a joke. I should have seen it coming. The shift wasn't sudden. It crept in slowly, like rot under polished wood. Once I hit 18, the warmth faded. Compliments turned into expectations. My voice into a tool. You speak well. Why not study business? Be useful at events. Clients remember your smile. You're part of the Monroe brand, Leah. Act like it. I stopped being a daughter the day I became an asset. By the time I was 20, I could read a room like a professional diplomat and charm investors 3 times my age. I was the clean face of a dirty company. My mother called it elegant survival. I called it being owned. I should have run years ago, but deep down, I think I still hoped someone in that house would see me. Now I knew better. The phone on the nightstand buzzed. I hadn't realized I had one here. But there it was, sleek, black, modern. No apps. Just one contact. Dad. I stared at it until it stopped buzzing. Then it rang again. I answered on the third buzz, holding the phone like it might bite. Leah? His voice came fast, smooth, polished. As if this was a normal call. Thank God. Are you okay? Are they treating you well? My throat tightened. I'm fine. Good. Good. He exhaled like he'd dodged a bullet. We're working on getting you out of there. It's just complicated. These people, this man, I corrected. His name is Vael. Yes. Right. A pause. He's difficult to negotiate with. You mean expensive? That silence said everything. I sat up straighter. Why are you calling? We're finalizing something, he said quickly. A restructuring. It could give us enough leverage to renegotiate. We already have a new deal lined up. I stopped breathing. A new deal, I repeated. His tone changed, slightly defensive, slightly dismissive. This is bigger than personal feelings, Leah. You know how the world works. You're smart, strategic. We're using what we have. You mean, me. He didn't reply. I could hear voices in the background. Papers shuffling. His world kept spinning, even while mine burned. You didn't call to check on me, I said coldly. You called to see if the merchandise was still intact. That's not fair. No, I whispered. It's not. I hung up. My hand shook as I set the phone down. I didn't cry. I just went still. He hadn't even asked me what I wanted. Not once. The worst part? I wasn't even surprised. I curled up under the heavy blankets and stared at the far wall. Something inside me had cracked open. But instead of pain, I felt numb. Empty. Hours passed. Maybe more. I didn't hear anyone come near. But when I got up to close the door, I saw it. A cup of tea on the floor, still steaming. Next to it, a folded blanket. Soft. Gray. Worn at the edges, not luxurious like everything else in the house. Human. No note, no knock. Just there, left like a quiet offering. I didn't touch it. I didn't drink the tea. But I sat beside it for a long time, knees drawn to my chest, fingers brushing the edge of the fabric. He hadn't said anything. And somehow that was louder than all the lies I'd heard today. I wasn't supposed to see it. But the mansion didn't follow rules like locked doors or posted signs. Sometimes it opened for you. Sometimes it led you exactly where you weren't meant to go. That night, it led me down. The corridor behind the western staircase didn't exist yesterday. Or at least not for me. But now, the wall had shifted. Just slightly. Enough to reveal a narrow passage lit with torches that flickered with green-blue flame. I stepped through before I could second-guess myself. The air changed instantly. Heavier, metallic, as if I'd walked into the mouth of something ancient. The walls here weren't polished marble like upstairs. They were dark stone, carved with symbols I didn't understand but somehow felt. The hallway descended in a spiral. At the bottom, I found the chamber. It was wide and domed, with a vaulted ceiling so high it vanished into shadow. Candles lined the walls, hundreds of them, but none gave off smoke. At the center stood Vael, in front of a large obsidian table. Across from him, a man paced, agitated, sweating. I said I need it now, the man growled. Not in 10 years. Not even 10 days. Now. His suit was crumpled. His tie undone. He looked like he hadn't slept in weeks. Vael, by contrast, was a statue. Perfect posture. Calm gaze. His fingers tapped the surface of the table once, then stopped. "And you understand the cost?" he asked. The man scoffed. "You think I care? My company is dying, my wife's gone, I've got nothing left." Vael didn't move. "Then it will be easy." He extended one hand, palm upward. The man hesitated, but then stepped forward, grabbed Vael's hand, and flames erupted from the floor. Not wild, not chaotic. Controlled, focused. A circle of fire surrounded the man, then pulled inward like a breath until he vanished. No scream, no ashes, just gone. Only the echo of his fear remained. I gasped. Vael turned his head. Our eyes met. I backed up instinctively. "You shouldn't be here," he said, voice low. "What did you do to him?" I asked, breath shaking. "He got what he wanted," Vael said calmly. "He's dead." "Not dead," Vael replied. "Just elsewhere." With what he asked for, I stared at the empty floor. "You didn't even say anything. You just looked at him." "I don't need to speak. Not when desire screams louder than words." I stepped back toward the stairs. "You're a monster." "Maybe," he said. "But I keep my promises." I ran. Back through the spiraled hall, through the shifting corridor, up into the warmth and false light of the main house. I didn't stop until I reached the grand gallery, one of the only places that felt real. There, among the dark paintings and books that whispered when no one watched, I found someone who didn't belong. "Leah?" I turned sharply. It took a moment to place the voice. "Evan?" He stepped out from behind one of the shelves, hands raised in peace. Same messy brown hair, same kind brown eyes. Jeans, hoodie, worn-out sneakers. He looked like a misplaced college student on a haunted field trip. "What the hell? How are you here?" "I followed the trail," he said. "I've been looking for you since you vanished." I blinked. "That was weeks ago." "For you," he said. "It's different outside." I didn't understand that. But right now, I didn't care. He was someone real. Someone mine. I threw my arms around him. He held me tightly. "I thought I was too late." "How did you get in?" I asked. He pulled back slightly, avoiding my eyes. "It wasn't easy. I had help." "Who? Doesn't matter. What matters is, I'm getting you out." I felt my heartbeat spike. "You don't understand. He's not human, Evan, he's—" "I know." His jaw tightened. "I've read about him, heard the rumors. That's why I came prepared." He pulled something from his pocket, a charm made of twine and bone. I didn't recognize the symbols etched into the surface, but they pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. Is that supposed to protect you? Not me, he said. You. Before I could reply, another voice cut through the room like a scalpel. How sweet. Sierra stood in the doorway, arms crossed, amusement dripping from every syllable. Your knight in threadbare armor. Did you tell her yet? Evan tensed. Stay out of this. Oh, I'd love to, Sierra said, stepping into the room. But I hate when new toys lie to old ones. I turned to Evan slowly. Tell me what? He looked away. Sierra smiled, eyes sharp. He's one of us. Not fully, but enough. He made a deal, darling. A small one, perhaps, but it lingers. It marks. Is that true? I whispered. Evan hesitated. It was before I knew what it meant. What did you ask for? His silence was answer enough. I stepped back. Leah, wait. No, I said. Not you two. Sierra's voice was softer now. In this house, Leah, everyone wants something. The only question is what they'll pay to get it. The garden was different at night. By day, if you could call it that, the paths shimmered with unnatural symmetry. At night, the hedges twisted like they had minds of their own. The flowers pulsed faintly in the dark, glowing just enough to be unsettling. The moon hung too low, too full, like it had been summoned for something. I waited on the stone bench beneath the silver tree where she said to meet. Then, I saw her. Leah! Callie called softly, stepping through the mist. Same delicate walk. Same glossy brown hair. Only now pinned up like she was playing dress-up in Mom's old closet. Her coat was designer, new, expensive. You came? I said, standing. Of course I did, she said, breathless, rushing to hug me. God, you look thinner. You look exactly the same, I murmured. She laughed lightly, but I didn't. How did you get in? I asked. The gate doesn't open for anyone. Callie hesitated. I asked to come. I said I was your sister. That I wanted to see you. That much was probably true, but something in her tone itched beneath my skin. I'm here to bring you home, she added quickly. Dad said it's almost sorted. They've got a new investor lined up. They just need a little more time. I stepped back. So you're not here for me. You're here for the deal. Her smile faltered. No, Leah, I'm here because I missed you. You didn't answer a single message for months. You posted beach photos while I disappeared. She looked away. I didn't know what to say. Silence stretched between us. Then, where is he? She asked too casually. Vael? She nodded. Is he always watching? Can he hear us now? I narrowed my eyes. Why? Callie opened her mouth, then shook her head. Forget it, I just want you to come home, please. I didn't believe her. Not entirely. But some small, stupid part of me still wanted to. We walked through the garden paths for a while. She asked me questions. How I ate, whether he was cruel, if I'd seen anyone else here. I answered in half-truths. She left just before midnight. Said she'd try again tomorrow. But she didn't leave the grounds. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. Something pulled at me, gut deep and wrong. I slipped from my room and walked barefoot through the house until I found the side doors to the garden again. The air outside was colder than before. The sky pulsed a dull red behind the clouds. I followed the soft whisper of voices through the hedge maze, careful to stay hidden in the dark. And then I saw her. Callie. She was standing in the center of the marble clearing, beside the reflecting pool. Not alone. Vael stood across from her. Calm, unreadable. I want to make a trade, Callie said. My heart stopped. Your father already made one, Vael replied, voice like frost. I know, she said. But she's not optimal, is she? She's not cooperating, she's unpredictable, emotional. She's human, Vael said. So am I. He said nothing. Callie pulled something from her coat. A scroll. Long, blood red. The kind I'd seen in his ritual chamber. I want to offer myself in her place, she said. Permanently. No expiration. Full consent. The firelight of the garden torches reflected off her face, and in that moment, I didn't recognize her at all. Why? Vael asked. Callie straightened. Because I'd be better at it. I wouldn't waste your time. I wouldn't fight. I'd earn you things. You don't love her, Vael said. You envy her. Callie didn't answer. The silence turned sharp. Vael didn't move. But the air around him shifted, deepened, darkened. Then I heard a sound I'll never forget, not a roar. A breath. Like the void exhaling. And suddenly, he changed. It wasn't violent. It was slow. His eyes became darker than night. No white, no silver, just endless void. Horns coiled back from his temples like obsidian knives. His fingers extended into clawed shadows, each pulsing faintly with blue fire. Callie took a step back. Syrah appeared in a burst of mist. Her voice shook with rage. You said you wouldn't let it out again. Vael didn't look at her. His gaze stayed fixed on Callie. The scroll burned in her hand before she could drop it. She screamed and vanished into the mist. And I gasped aloud. Too loudly. Vael turned. Those black flame eyes locked on mine. I stumbled back, but the world was spinning. The shadows around him shifted like living things, and all I could feel was heat, pressure, silence. Then, everything went black. I woke to the sound of breathing. Not mine. The room was cold, the air stale, heavy with something ancient. I was lying on stone, not soft silk. When I opened my eyes, I saw vaulted ceilings above me, carved with symbols like the ones in the ritual chamber, only older, deeper, hungrier. Candles burned along the walls, but their light didn't flicker. It pulsed. Like veins, not flame. And then I saw them. Scrolls. Hundreds of them, rolled and sealed in glass, stacked in carved alcoves that lined every wall. Some glowed faintly. Others wept black ash. I stood slowly, heart pounding. One of the scrolls was broken open, lying on a pedestal nearby. My name was on it. Leah Monroe, ink sharp, slanted. Not my handwriting. Not my signature. There were other names below it. And one I recognized, Syrah. I stared at it. Then, I heard him. Some of these have lasted centuries, Vael said behind me. I turned, too fast. He stood in the far corner of the vault, half-shadowed, his form still cloaked in the remnants of what I'd seen in the garden. Not fully human. Not anymore. His eyes were burning coal, rimmed with silver fire. Horns curled back from his head like polished obsidian, and his chest, bare beneath an unbuttoned coat, was marked with symbols that shimmered like constellations. But he didn't look threatening. He looked tired. You keep contracts, I whispered. I keep everything, he said. That's the problem. I stepped toward him, cautious. What is this place? My memory, he said. The only part of this house I can't erase. These are the ones, remember. The ones I can't forget. You remember her, I said, gesturing toward the scroll with Syrah's name. He didn't answer for a long time. Then, she wanted to be more than what I could give her. And I let her believe she could be. That's cruel. He nodded. Yes. Silence pressed in again, thick with candle smoke and ink. Why am I here? I asked. Because I lost control, he said, not looking at me. I swore I wouldn't show you what I really am. Not until you were ready. Not until I was... You showed my sister. She wasn't you... My throat tightened. You let her try to trade me away. I didn't accept. You didn't stop her either. His eyes flicked up to meet mine. You think I don't want to hurt her? To hurt all of them? His voice was soft, dangerous. Your father, your sister, that boy with the charm. I could break them all with a whisper. Then, why don't you? He looked away again. Because you wouldn't forgive me. My breath caught. He took a step closer. The heat from his body hit me like standing too close to fire. I haven't felt guilt in 400 years, he said quietly. Until you ruined my life, I said, the words sharper than I meant. You let them give me away. You took me. You changed everything. I didn't take you, Leah, he said. I was handed you. I could have said no. I should have. But I was curious. Curious is always the first sin. You watched me, I whispered. Like an experiment. He nodded once. And then I started listening. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking again. I don't know what you are, I said. I don't know what you want. I want to forget you, he said, voice cracked like dry glass. But I can't. I took a shaky step forward. So did he. We were inches apart. I should hate you, I whispered. You do? No. I said. I don't. And that's worse. He reached out slowly, not touching, but waiting. I lifted my hand and laid my fingers gently against his chest, right over the glowing sigil between his ribs. It flickered. And so did he. His horns faded. His eyes dulled, turned silver again. The shadows peeled away from his skin like smoke in reverse. In a heartbeat, he was just a man. Breathing hard. We stood there like that for a moment. Two silhouettes in a room full of broken promises. Then he leaned down and kissed me. It wasn't hungry. It wasn't violent. It was careful. Too careful. His lips were warm. His breath caught. I kissed him back. And just as quickly, we both pulled away. Breathing fast. Eyes wide. I stepped back, chest tight. He didn't follow. We didn't say anything. But the silence between us wasn't empty this time. It was full. I asked to see him face to face. No more phone calls, no more silence traded for shame. I wanted to look my father in the eye when I left him behind. He agreed. But only if his lawyer was present. Typical. The meeting took place in his office, the same one I used to sit in as a teenager, filing papers for experience. Everything was exactly as I remembered. Sterile, cold, impressive, only if you didn't know how hollow it all was. The walls were lined with certificates he never earned. A massive photo of our family hung behind his desk, the perfect portrait. Smiles, symmetry, lies. My mother sat beside him, immaculately dressed in beige, diamonds at her ears, hands folded. My sister was across the room, silent, eyes down. She hadn't looked at me once since I walked in. And then there was Vael, standing in the corner, silent and unreadable in his black coat, eyes glinting silver beneath the office lights. No horns, no smoke, just stillness. As if he already knew how this would end. Leah, my father said smoothly, standing. You look well. Healthier than expected. I'm not here for compliments, I said. Of course. He smiled, and I hated how much of it was performance. Let's talk opportunity, then. The lawyer opened a folder and slid a new contract across the table. An offer, my father said. From one collector to another? Vael didn't move. My father gestured. We're proposing a fresh arrangement, an exclusive partnership. You'll retain rights to Leah, of course, but in return, we ask for strategic support on a new overseas deal. Clean investment, fast turnaround, minimal risk. He turned to me and added, almost kindly, you'd be helping the family. I looked at the papers, then at him. Then I laughed. It wasn't bitter, it wasn't loud. It just fell out of me, like the last weight sliding off. You're still trying to sell me, I said. After everything? You're not being sold, he replied. You're being positioned for success. I already have success, I said. I have myself. And I picked up the contract, tore it in half, then into quarters, then into pieces so small the air itself stopped breathing. My mother gasped. What are you doing? Choosing myself, I said. You're being emotional, she snapped. This isn't how we raised you. No, I said. You raised me to perform. To smile when I was empty, to obey when I was breaking. But I'm not your project anymore. She stood, furious. Do you have any idea what you're giving up? Yes, I said. Everything I never wanted. Callie finally looked up. She didn't speak. Of course not. She never had, not when it mattered. Evan wasn't here, no surprise. Maybe he couldn't face me. Maybe he wasn't allowed to. I turned to the door. Vael stepped aside, giving me space. My father stood behind his desk like a king watching his crown fall to dust. Walk away now, he warned, and you lose everything. The name, the future, the inheritance. I looked over my shoulder once, then smiled. I was never yours to begin with. And I walked out. No guards stopped me. No hands pulled me back. Just the sharp, sudden click of the office door behind me, like the end of a bad chapter. I didn't have money. I didn't have status. I didn't have safety. But I had something no one in that room had ever earned. Freedom. And I was done apologizing for it. The rooftop was colder than I expected. High above the mansion, the wind curled around stone pillars and whispered through the air like a voice that had forgotten how to scream. The sky was cloudless. The moon hung low, massive and pale gold, like it too was waiting for something to end. Vael stood near the edge. Back turned. His coat rippled behind him, and in his hands he held a scroll. My scroll. I didn't say anything. I just walked toward him, slow and barefoot across the chilled marble until I stood beside him. He didn't look at me. But he spoke. This was never supposed to happen. I glanced at the scroll. The ink on the parchment shimmered faintly, like a heartbeat. My name burned at the top. I was supposed to keep my distance, he said. Observe, collect, trade. That's all I was ever meant to do. I didn't interrupt. But you didn't act like the others, he continued, softer now. You didn't beg. You didn't flatter. You hated me. And still, you stayed. I didn't stay, I said. Not then. He nodded. Then I tried to push you away. And you left. Another pause. The wind picked up, catching the edges of the scroll. He turned toward me slowly. I want you to go, he said. The words hit harder than I thought they would. Why? I whispered. Because I don't know if I can keep being this. Not when you're near. He glanced down at the scroll. I'm still a collector, Leah. Still a demon. I don't get to have things. I take them. Even when I don't mean to. He held the scroll between us. Then he snapped his fingers. It caught fire. Not like paper. Like memory. The flame danced up the parchment, devouring my name first. Then the signature I never gave. Then the blood seal my father had offered without permission. The ash didn't fall. It swirled, weightless, like stardust. When it was gone, he reached out and poured the remains into my open palm. The ash was warm. You're free, he said. No deals, no bindings, no reason to stay. I closed my hand over the ash and stepped back. Then I turned and walked away, step by step, breath by breath. Down the staircase, through the hallway, past the flickering mirrors and whispering walls. No one followed. And for a moment, I thought, maybe that's how this ends. Maybe this story is about letting go. But when I reached the front gate, I stopped. I looked back at the mansion. And I realized something. I wasn't afraid of it anymore. It hadn't changed. I had. So I turned around. And walked all the way back up. The wind was stronger on the rooftop now. Vael hadn't moved. He heard me before he saw me. And when he turned, his eyes were wide, not with power but with something far rarer. Hope. You came back, he said. I nodded. You told me to go, I said. And I did. He took a breath. Then why? Because I wanted to, I interrupted. Because I chose to. I stepped closer. You bought me once, I said, voice trembling. But I stayed by choice. He stared at me like he was seeing something sacred. I reached for him. And he didn't flinch. Our hands met first, then our foreheads, then, finally, his lips. The kiss was fire but not consuming. It was steady, real, grounded in everything we had broken and rebuilt. All around us, the torches flared, and then dimmed. And the sky above us shimmered. The moonlight brightened, washing over us like a second breath. The mansion didn't vanish. It didn't transform. But the rooftop felt different now. No longer a cage. A beginning. He pulled back just enough to whisper. Then stay. As my equal. Not my price. And I did.